Yeah, baby. Yeah. The Mac is back. Back with another video. Hello, the initiated. My name is Marcus Junikala, and today we're having a look at Spectres by Slate Ash. This kind of came out of nowhere. I knew they had a library in the works, but in terms of the release, it just kind of happened as far as I could tell. Super excited about this because Slate Ash are one of my favorite sample library virtual instrument developers, period. They just make super creative, super unique, super refined, super mature, high productional quality creative tools that just are, very creative, very artsy, and I mean that in the best possible fashion. Very unique things they create, and just top-notch stuff. So anytime they have anything coming out, I want to take a look at that. So I think we're going to start off by going to the website. I have my laptop here. This is subtitled as Conjure Aural Illusions. Very sort of poetic, I don't know, artsy, descriptive stuff. I mean, they are artists in their own right, so it's no wonder they talk in these kind of terms that evoke images and ideas about what you might be looking at. But in terms of how they further describe this, Spectres delves into the elusive realm of radical extended techniques. Sonic illusions and spectral apparitions reveal themselves in the hidden nuances of experimental recordings and collaged loops, unveiling a haunting spectrum of noise and color. So this actually reminds me of a project I did back at university where I was looking for, I think it was called Mood Soundscapes and something. I don't remember what it was. Basically, the idea was to look at all the stuff in between, fundamental notes and the harmonics of that. Probably very different, but just my attempt in that project was to basically look at all the stuff in between, all the ghostly textures, etc. in there. Don't know how successful I was. I probably got a good grade for that, but the Marcus of today would probably laugh. But yeah, I mean, the image I'm getting out of this is it's using very special recordings, very special sound sources that are already kind of texture rich and unusual, and then it's probably combining those to kind of pull very new things out of it. So I mean, sounds great to me as a concept. Curated by experimental composer and performer Lea Bertucci, that's my Italian pronunciation. Spectres comprises a large catalog of solo extended techniques performed by a selection of New York's premier experimental instrumentalists. So 650 core phrases from 15 players, delivers more than 500 specially sound designed textures, atmospheres, and tones created in our brand new collage engine. So a new engine, once again, which is super cool that they keep creating these. And these engines are just instruments in their own right, like creative toolkits that you can throw stuff into, and it has its own rules and ways of operating, and then you create stuff with this. This is genuinely super creative and pretty cutting edge in my estimation. Oh, the next word was going to be cutting engine. Cutting engine? What the heck is that? Let's call it a cutting engine. Cutting edge sample looping. I swear I didn't actually read that there before I said it. allows for full exploration and reinvention of the source samples. So very cool. Leading voices of the avant-garde. And I'm reading this because I know absolutely nothing about this. So this is truly a blind demo, not only in the playing, but also in the knowing. So they say they intentionally step away from classical norms, leans into unique and distinctive voices of a number of luminary musicians. Cool. Some people mentioned Claire Chase, Björk collaborator Zena Parkins, Sarah Hennies. Cool. Brent Arnold. Then we have a bunch of different artists here that you can open up a page for all of them. This is really cool. So Brent Arnold, Claire Chase, Dan Peck, Darius Jones, James Ilgen, Fritz, Jeremiah Simerman. These are some intensive names. John McCowan, Josh Modney, Lester St. Louis, Nate Woolley, Sarah Henny, Steve Bakovsky, Bakskovsky. I'm sorry, I don't know how that's pronounced. That's a lot of consonants in a row. Susie Ibarra, Weston Elenki, Zena Parkins. Cool. Captured by cult engineer Randall Dunn. Very nice. Brooklyn-based Temple of Recording Circular. The studio is called Circular Ruin Studio. Very nice. All right. It's a long page, but this is all very actually informative. Not shitting on this. So also, in addition to the original recordings, there are re-amplified channels. There are 3 of them. Huge resonant grain silo, wall of distorted amplifiers, and a stereo pair of vintage Roland spring reverbs. Cool. Sounds good to me. Then you have the collage engine. Inspired by tape slicing techniques of musique concrète. I don't know how that's pronounced, but cool. Reassembles and magnifies fragments of samples, building overlapping sequences and granular micro montages that transcend linear time. This is intensive text. But yeah, it sounds like a granular engine at its core, at its heart. At least based on this. Ooh, I leaned against a note and we had something there. We've broken the ice. What's included? 666 articulations. 35 alto saxophones. Okay, I'm not going to read the numbers, but alto saxophone, baritone saxophone, cello, clarinet, contrabass, flute, harp, percussion, trombone, trumpet, tuba, violin. That's a lot of stuff. Then you have 519 presets. Very cool. We're going to look at those today. Not all of them, unfortunately, because I have a life. But you got abstract animations, atmospheres, forms, gestures, movements, pads, patterns, vectors, textures, tones. Very cool. I mean, these are always top-notch and super inspiring and creative. Needs Kontakt 7.7.0 or higher. I actually had to update my Kontakt for this. I don't know if this is like the newest, but anyway. Includes Kontakt Player free. Terms of system requirements, Intel Max i5 or higher, Mac OS 11, 12 or 13, Apple Silicon Max, Mac OS 11, 12 or 13. Latest update, Windows 10 or 11, Intel Core i5 or equivalent. Cool. Size-wise, this is 15 gigs download. I think it's 15 gigs on the drive. 2,667 samples. Let me actually check the size on my drive. Spectres is 15.08 gigs. So that's what you gotta prepare to have. At least for me, price shows to be 199 euros. I don't know if this is like an intro price and it's gonna go up, or this is the full price and then I don't know. This is what it is right now. So stay on top of that if you want to follow where that's going. And at least now, Slate Ash bundle is 969 euros. So yeah, I mean, in terms of price, these are, you know, premium things. Actually, 199 euros for this, if it is what I think it's going to be, is fair. You know, top-notch stuff, world-class sounds, and you know, if you actually make some money with music, that will pay itself in a form of a project pretty easily. But obviously, that's contextual to where you are at in your life and your career. That's the web page. As said, this is a blind thing. So in terms of how this thing functions, we'll find out. I haven't educated myself because that's kind of what we do here. Demos. Because a big part of this is to show how they open themselves up without prior familiarization. So much talking makes me thirsty, but I'm taking myself to my DAW, and in the side panel view, you just have spectres.nki. There's no folders here or anything like that. It just opens up and everything then happens within this interface. Opening up the snapshot menu here, you go initialized, then you have articulations, and then you have sound design. So articulations, as I understand, are just these instruments. So again, here we have all the instruments I listed. These are, I would presume, the raw, you know, recordings. Obviously not raw; they're probably processed or treated to be ready to go. But these are probably not further tweaked. And for each of these instruments, you have a pretty huge selection of all kinds of articulations. So you got flutter bursts, random flutter, rattle harmonic, squeak phrase, sustain pattern. You get the idea. Click feedback, reed breaking, cymbal shakes, mute interference, harmonic glide. So all kinds of super, I was going to say weird, but that's not really the word I'm looking for. All kinds of alternative techniques and rare stuff that you wouldn't find in a, you know, typical sample library that's, you know, wants to cover legatos and mercatos and spiccatos and etc. And this is indeed what I love about these libraries. Like something like landforms is filled with these kind of alternative techniques and interesting textures, and that's what makes these libraries, you know, super interesting and creative and inspiring and valuable. Then you have a sound design folder where you have abstract animations, atmospheres, forms, gestures, movements, paths, patterns. We listed these before. Inside each one of these you have a pretty substantial collection of presets, and indeed it was around, was it 519? So a lot to go through. Obviously we can't unfortunately do everything here, but on the agenda today is to just play this out of the box and give you an idea of what it sounds like and what it can deliver. In terms of presets, I'll just go based on what looks interesting to me. We have to discriminate somehow here so that this is not a 12-hour video, which I would, by the way, love to do, but I have a life to get back to. So, looking at the interface in typical Slate Ash fashion, super clean, you know, super aesthetical. I don't even know if that's a word, but now it is. Going from top to bottom, you have a key control here. So that has all the keys. Then you have a choice of chromatic, major, minor, major pentatonic, minor pentatonic, major arp, minor arp, fifths. How do you pronounce that, man? Octaves, Ionian, and then, yeah, different modes: Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolidian, Locrian. Chromatic sounds good to me. Then you got letters here: L, M, E. L probably stands for loop. M probably stands for, let's see what's in here, modulation, matrix. Let's go with modulation. E for effects, because we have filter tape. Okay, let's go these one by one. So again, super clean. And then we have P, which says preferences. Here you can presumably adjust all of these, yeah, by dragging, clicking and dragging. Layer A, B, and general, and then you have a reset all button. So go in here once you want to start tweaking things. So the loop page, you have A, and then you have B. So you can presumably move between the two loops somehow. And then you can add loops on just by click of a button. Quantize, start, X fade, tune, fair enough. Amp, you got loop shape, random, filter. Okay, so the controls change on the right based on amp or filter control. Attack, decay, sustain, release, volume, invert. All right, seems simple enough. Mod page. Right here you have a mixer, so you have dry signal, amp signal, silo signal, and echo, based on the effect we touched on in the intro. Then you have a mixing. Okay, cool. So you have this XY mix window, which will adjust accordingly to where you're located there. This is super cool. Very nice. Then you have a bleed control. Oh, okay, so it kind of changes the relative amount of the levels to one another. Okay. IR, so that's impulse response, I would presume. Yep, so you have a bunch of stuff in here. Yeah, seems simple enough. Length, size, cool. Then you have a routing thing, which we're probably not going to go into, but I mean, these are so well designed. They just, you know, come together very nicely. And actually pretty easy to use once you get past the style of the interface, if that bothers you, because not a lot of people, this is very much like a hit or miss kind of thing. A lot of people love it, and then some people just can't get their head around it. No, that's not a criticism, but just, you know, it doesn't look the way that people like to think. Effects page, this is pretty simple, but we'll probably go in here if we need to. We want to tweak some stuff, but that's it. Let's explore. I think I'm going to start with the sound design to sort of express or explore the full potential and sound of this. So let's do a few from each, and then we can keep this in some kind of a decent length. Let's do abstract, and this one is called Bring Me Back. As you can see, load times are not minuscule. Slate and Ash libraries are pretty known for being intensive. They tend to take a lot of processing power, and not many instances usually can be run. So you probably can, well, depends on your system, depends on your configuration, etc. But the sound and what they do, that comes with a price, and they tend to be pretty, not only just a money price, but the price of processing. So they tend to be pretty hefty, and for some people it's just too much. Personally, I'm in the camp of whatever it takes to create the sound that needs to be done or that we're after. So I will suffer any kind of a workflow thing for that. But let's see what happens this time. I think my buffer is 256, so it's playable, but there's enough room for some processing here to take place. So yeah, in terms of what you'll be hearing today, only Spectres in action. I don't add any effects on the track or the master track, nothing, just Spectres on its own out of the box. I have a limiter on the master bus to make the level decent for this video. That being said, limiter is set to be as transparent as possible. We will have to adjust the level as we move along here, because the sounds have varying levels of volume. If you hear clipping, it's probably the limiter, so I'll adjust the level to fix that. If it's not the limiter, I'll let you know, and I'll probably let you know either way. In terms of transparency, Slate and Ash did send me this copy, so first of all, thank you to them for doing that. That being said, I haven't been asked to say anything one way or the other, nor would I ever do that. And I'm not being paid to film or edit this video otherwise at all. So I think that covers it. Let's shut up and start playing. So this one is Bring Me Back. So you've got to work a bit in the tuning if you want to make that you know, tonal in the traditional sense. Beautiful textures. Obviously here you can fantastically see what it's doing to this loop, how it's cycling through it, and you know, through which sections. So that's really cool, and that's actually super useful once you want to dive in here and you know, tweak some of these things. It is super fast and intuitive, and that's what I liked about choreographs as well. It's very visually immediately telling you what's happening, and then it's easier to jump in there to tweak stuff. Very cool textures. Let's do creatures in there. The slow time is indeed a you know, not non-existent. Okay, so super cool textures. I just realized, I mean, we are in the abstract folder, so bear with me here, because I would presume many of these are atonal or, you know, very, very dissonant at the very least. So if you want to get to the tonal stuff, probably best to, you know, jump to the animations folder or whatever else is going to come up. We're just going to go through these in order, so, you know, bear with me. This is certainly, I'm pretty sure, not just, you know, atonal textural stuff, but fantastic textures. Yeah, this one is what is this called? Dreaming State. That is the limiter clipping. Let me pull back this a bit. That is the limiter clipping. Yeah, so a sequenced thing in there. I don't tend to use those a ton. So this one is called Keep Coming Around. I mean, fantastic stuff for sound design, and just the textures are so spot on. Very cool. I want to hear what a monastery sounds like. Yeah, so, I mean, this is like screams texture. Texture at me more than anything else. Past Lives. Super cool. I mean, this is so polished. Again, I'm going to praise the mix, the production and the mixing of this, because it's just so... Things feel very maximal, but they're not harsh. They don't take up any more space than they have to. So this seems very promising. Path to the Void. I want to hear what this sounds like, because this sounds like my life. Very cool. At some point I'm going to have to stop commenting on these, because it seems like it's going to be the same thing. Let's do Somewhere We Shouldn't Be. A bit of soundscapey stuff. Let's move on to animations, and let's do Clocking In. Jeez. The snappiness of that is spot on. Again, it's like super maximally effective in terms of conveying the feeling and the emotion, but I hear no harshness, even when it's that snappy. I'm pulling back the limiter quite a bit because it can get loud. So if I hold the sustain pedal, it does this kind of It's like, I don't know what it does. Builds up something. Cool, so that could be like a interesting rhythmic element. Let's do erosion cycle. Cool. So, I mean, these tend to be, or seem to be, kind of rhythmic elements. This one is called Inner Lines. Nice. Super nicely recorded. Just, I mean, to me, like a perfect balance of things. This one is called Kin. Cool, so a bit of mod wheel action coming into play there. Nice. Red Breath Gold. All right. So these would be good if you just want to add rhythmic elements, but you want something texturally richer, different, something that lies between like a pitched percussion and a non-one. I mean, technically they probably all have a pitch, but detectable. Shimai is this preset. Big level differences here, so I do apologize for that. But yeah, these they sound so mature, so well balanced. Let's do one more here. Let's do transponder. Limiter clipping. Yeah, very obviously the voices stack, but that just means they are super dynamic, which is also a big part of what they do, and also I think a big part to preserve in your music. Let's move into atmospheres, and this one is called A Dark Heart. Let's pull back the limiter a bit here. Cool. A living moment. very dark, ominous, very soundscapey. I mean, they're cold atmospheres, so makes sense. Always rising. Super cool stuff. Very cinematic, very atmospheric. Very, very nice. And again, super refined, super mature. Behind the Clouds. This is surprisingly like darker than what I expected. I don't know, just based on the description, felt a bit sort of more maybe melancholic than dark, but obviously this is only one folder. Dawn Will Come. I mean, this sounds more optimistic, so. Clipping. It's a very resonant sound. Again, doesn't sound like a positive dawn arriving. But yeah, super cinematic, very atmospheric. Dealing in Time. Same thing, beautiful imaging, beautiful soundscape. Let's do Earthen. Super visceral. You can really feel that against your skin. Where were we? Let's do Ghosting. cool. I mean, they understand the importance of simplicity and minimalism, but then maximally expressing certain things with texture, especially. So that's very nice. Oh, okay. So these are also scrollable. There we go. There are so many presets. I wish I could play all of these. Let's do Land's End. Super cool. Lay Siege. I mean, Sage? Sage? Fantastic. Let us do Omega Station. Dark, drony, metallic thing. I mean, this is going to be like a treasure trove. I always wonder why I struggle to pronounce that. Treasure trove of just soundscape building stuff. Sacred Ground. Definitely had a CPU spike there and pretty much using 60-70% momentarily. I would presume this is like, let's have a peek at the effects. So okay, yeah, we've got some kind of reverb going, which is probably to be blamed for the most part of that. Although I'm sure there's no shortage of under the hood granular processing. Solar Birds. What? Things get pretty spoopy. Let's do one more here and then move on to the next category. Let's do Wind Talkers. Sounds interesting enough. So there's one key that's lighted in yellow. I wonder whether this is the original sample, like the one that it shows here, and that it's processing over and over again in different ways. So I would presume yes. Yeah, pretty scary stuff. This is definitely, at least the atmosphere stuff is leaning to like a darker tone. Forms. So this is going to be interesting. Let's start with a preset called Burial Place. Scary stuff. Although you can obviously interpret that in different ways. Communicating from your past. Still under clipping. Let's pull this down a fair bit. That was limiter clipping. It's very cool, like a rhythmic pattern mixed with a ambience thing. I wonder what forms is conceptually here. I'm sure they mentioned that in the walkthrough videos. By the way, go watch them. And as you can see, the point of this is not to be technical about this, because Slate and Ash do videos on the design of it, the technical aspect of how this is put together so well. There's no point in me trying, especially me, to try and do it better, because I feel like they do it fantastically. So to learn that, go in there, and they do it better. Like I said, the point of this demo is to explore some of these sounds and give you an idea what this sounds like out of the box. This one is called Elders. So forms could be some kind of a mix between animations and atmospheres. Seems like that to me. Eversoft sounds like a good thing. Obviously, don't wish that upon yourself as a man, but this is like a soundscape atmosphere building machine. Does it super well. Let's do gloaming. Does seem like a hybrid between animations and atmospheres. Gotta do Gradual Ghost. I mean, if you name something like that, you have to hear what it sounds like. All right. Let us do on something. Okay, so I love this. This is what, I mean, this could be a part of what they were talking about, but what I love about this is that a lot of these different movements, a lot of these textures, a lot of these harmonics, as you begin to combine them through those momentary glimpses, you get a sense of harmony. And much of it is obviously, well, it's not by chance because you can hear what they do and then you can combine them to form the harmony. But it's a perception of harmony that is most unusual and difficult to construct any other way. And I tend to, this is what I keep chasing in tonality for myself, and why I find the sound side of actually making music, the textures and everything, they evoke different senses of harmony, and they can achieve these harmony states that, as far as I can tell, are impossible to express otherwise. So here I love how it's moving between the different states, and that's wonderful. And this kind of reminds me of at least their description of what they went after, of these kind of ghostly momentary textures and shifting things. So that's super cool. Let's do one more from here, and let's make it sanitarium. Limiter. Very cool texture and sound. Sounds like almost like a moaning human being and a whale and some kind of animal. I don't know. Very nice. Gestures. Moving on into those. Let's do Aware 2. Limiter clipping here. Does it sound like kind of a momentary effect, riser, transition thing, at least based on that. Let's do Abdo Cult. Anything cult related, I'm in. Yeah, so at least these two seem to follow. Let's do Endocrines. Also, you could add, swells and swoops and these kind of. Probably the idea is that there is a clear note that's being played in a certain way. Seems like it. Immense objects emerge. cool. Yeah, that's a start of a track right there. Very nice. So like subtle but maximally emotional. Occultist. Oh, I want to hear what that sounds like. Limiter clipping. I mean, just brilliant sound design. Very nice. Shadowed. Yep. And one more from here. Let's do The Relic. Limiter. Limiter? I barely know her. Cool. All right, so that's really cool. I like also, I mean, one of the points of making this video is me getting to know what this is intended to be and learning the folder style and structure. They're obviously more, you know, the names don't exactly reveal themselves to you as a user, so you have to test them to know what they are. And they're not named practically, they're named based on their kind of artistic vision or immersion of them. So this is useful to know. But I'm already recognizing that I'm thinking about them in terms of their form, you know, how they move, what they do. Obviously, that's very tweakable with the engine, also to a degree, but still. So this is moving on to the movements folder, and this one is called Asphodel. I don't know which one it is, but very nice texture. Again, sits in a perfect place in terms of the desired effect versus the sound of it. Blue movement. Not clipping on that one, and it doesn't sound harsh to me, just to clarify for some people if they're wondering. I actually really, I mean, the distortion in these ones is really tastefully done on certain notes when you know, harmonics collide in a very, very pleasant, nice way. Yeah, very tasteful. I would stick around in this zone and just kind of milk the distortion kind of collisions there. Seems very wonderful. This one is called Don't Touch. Yeah, I mean, out of the box, it's like a lot of this doesn't want to tonally work with you in a traditional sense, which, again, I'm sure much of that is tweakable based on the tuning, etc., and also whatever you choose to mix in there. But something to keep in mind. This is called End Rounds. Beautiful. Again, I would probably jump in there to tweak to my liking, but I mean, beautiful textures, beautiful movement. This one's called It's Only in Time. In Time. Again, do a bit of tweaky, because I already hear ideas that I want to pursue. It's not quite hitting those, but beautiful movement, texture. Let's do Mother Ghost. All right, pretty simple. Let's do Prelude. So again, you'd have to tweak that into something tonal. You know, some of it might be in the sample, so it's not possible, but there's only one way to really find out. Let's do Radial Patterns. And let's not clip the limiter. What I like about these is that I instantly hear what I want to go after musically as an idea. To be fair, that's never been a problem for me in terms of music. I mean, one of the few things where I do have that kind of strong vision and intuition, but yeah, I mean, these is still like having sounds that are done this well and in such a polished fashion. It's just very easy to like follow your curiosity and interest. But let's do Tsuchi Gumo. Tsuchi Gumo. That's how it's pronounced. I know. Obviously a very funny sound, but wonderful texture, brilliant. You know, I actually want to jump in there to see how much I can tweak, but really fantastic stuff. Moving into pads, this will be interesting. A Spectacle of Time. Let us do At Peace. Gotta stop playing, or otherwise I'm gonna play that the entire day. That's very beautiful. Again, what I really love about these is that they're so maximal by being so minimal. It's like it's exactly what you want to do with music, because space in the mixing realm is so limited, and the more you can do with less, the better it's always gonna sound and feel. So yeah, that's fantastic stuff. Let's do Cold Enough. Yeah, beautiful sound. I would probably put some more movement in there, especially in the, or probably all of it, a bit of volume automation or something to modulate that. Let's do Following the Trail. Beautiful. Again, I would make it a bit more fluctuating, but there are plenty of ways to do that. Ghost Whispers. Any preset has the word ghost in it. I want to know what it sounds like. I have reasons, okay. These ghosts sound pretty raspy. Probably get that checked. Goddess Cloud. Fluctuating, resonant, thingy-majingy. Hunger for something. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these, they move less than I would expect. I guess this is a better starting point, and then to add more fluctuation and randomness. And we have to do Lake Placid because that was in a Call of Cthulhu scenario that we played once, which we called Lake Placid, of course. Oh, so many things you wanna play. Let's do Lost Coast. Okay. Mouth open slow. These immediately paint a soundscape. Like, whether you like these or not, that's a different question, but they immediately evoke something, which I just love. Like, give me an anchor point to move from, and that's oftentimes what you want as a composer. This one is called Now Am Found, and this is a dark ambient machine. Like, oh, this is many things, but like, to me, it's just, obviously I want to write more of that music, and this is just fantastic for that. Cool. All right, let's do one more from the pad. Gotta move on to other things. And this is gonna be Valley of Sleep. Very, very spoopy. Very spoopy indeed. All right, moving on to patterns. In terms of what these are, we'll find out. This one is called Between the Lines. A bit of limiter clipping there. Obviously the lower frequencies really push it further. So some kind of pitched rhythm element apparently. Let's do Dog Watch. It's really cool how you can play with the note start, so it doesn't automatically just sync it, but goes based on your playing. That's just a really fast and convenient way of creating more and more patterns. I mean, we had to play Blood Meal. How did I miss that one? Yeah, that we're gonna have to pull back the limiter. Soundscape be a rhythmic element. Masks on. super beautiful texture. CPU did jump about halfway up on that one, so it's the price you pay. Simple spectrum. This is very loud. Cool. Let's do one more from here. Underneath the mass. So, yeah, some of the presets have MW there, which I presume means mod wheel, so. So yeah, just kind of a rhythmic percussive element there. Don't know how patterns are specifically defined here, but next up, Spectres and Another Hallucination. Fantastic sound design. Awakening in the Reeds. Beautiful mechanical noises. Very cool stuff. I mean, I want to play all of these, but Between the Fields. To keep many of these simple. You don't want to stack up too much stuff there. Calling shapes. Cool. Yeah, this is just like a huge bank of different soundscapes. Edge case. Luckily, the ideas are conveyed pretty fast on these ones, so we don't have to spend a ton of time here. This one is called I Am the Mercy. You can do really cool stuff with that. And there we can obviously hear the more apparent, winds instruments pushing through. Non-human. just begging to be used in dark ambient. So, Rituals of Mind. Nice. And then let's do The Sun Is In You. The idea. All right, let's do one more from the Spectres folder. Let's do Woman of the North. Super cool. Just a beautiful atmosphere. It's beautiful distortion chewing on that low end. Super, super nice. All right, let's move on to textures. So, again, how these differ to some of the other folders, don't know. But like I said, I do like this way of foldering as well, as long as I subjectively agree with the perception of that. But these can make it actually easier to also remember where stuff is, because it's not just ambiguously, named. But obviously there's going to be like some of the sounds in a folder I'm going to find would be maybe better off in another folder, but there you go. Also, I should probably mention this yellow key that is marked with all of these presets. Let's just start with a summoning. And this one shows the yellow key here at the center C. And I suspect this is the original location, original pitch of the sample. Probably the sample as it is unaltered in terms of pitch changing. So, I would presume this is, the kind of the center of where you should be starting to at least get an idea of what the sound is doing. But yeah, it's probably the least processed version of the sample in question. So, a summoning. So yes, indeed, it is a texture, kind of a percussive texture. Let's do Ascent. Like those rising sounds. You can do a lot of cool stuff with that. I mean, these names speak to me so much that I would love to do all of them, but as you know, not possible. Bending Light. Yeah, super cool. So easy to make interesting soundscapes. And also, what I love about these is that you can clearly hear what you want to tweak and change. Like they might be complex soundscapes, but you can very quickly hear what you want to do with it, which speaks to the level of sound design here. That it's not difficult to break down what's in there in your mind's eye. Let's do Breaking Meaning. Cool. Let's go with Coming Undone. We're getting a bit of limiter clipping there because it's has some very intensive peaks in there. Let's do Dream Shift. Limiter clipping. Some of those kind of chewy sounds in there, which are very cool, very scary. Let's do In the Trees. Very nice. Beautiful balance between that center point mid sound, and the lows are noticeable, but they don't overtake the sound. Very, very nicely balanced. A lot of noise in this one. I'm sure you can, deal with it, but it also works really nicely there because it creates this sense of presence, sense of, immediacy, threat, and being present there. So that's very cool. Let's do Into Dream. Anything related to dreams, I seem to be on board. So we seem to have some harp action. pretty wide range of source sounds here for sure. I can't wait to dive into the Articulations folder, because this is just obviously coming across as a stellar sound design atmosphere cinematic building tool, but then to see what all of this stuff is consisting of, like what is this coming out of in terms of the source sounds, that's super interesting to see. Lesser Gods. Again, super cool. This simply has absolutely stunning and unique textures. Fantastic stuff. Let us do Melded Shapes. Under clipping there. Yeah, I mean, this is just like a soundscape paradise, especially for dark ambient fans. Really amazing. Let us do Pale As. So with a lot of these, they really work, in my estimation, best with a certain combination of frequency areas. Like, not all of these are the same, but that one is very like focused on repeating that sample in different pitches. And with a lot of that stuff, I find, you know, especially if you're aiming to make something like dark ambient or something akin to that, going to the top end is going to make it quite harsh very quickly. And again, this is no fault of the library, but it's just and again, you could disagree depending on what you're trying to create, but it does when you have samples and you use them in these sort of ways, the multiplication of that sample in upper pitches just makes it very bright. So you're probably going to have to either EQ those if you use them, or just stay in lower ranges, which I find tends to be the best case for like a most captivating soundscape and a balance of frequencies. This is the same I've noticed with pretty much any library that does the same thing. It's just the top end gets very bright with this kind of a sampling method. And again, it has more to do with the basics of audio theory and sampling and just doing it that way. So it's ultimately your fault if your music sounds like crap. But yeah, like Bioscape by Luftroom, same thing. Don't want to perhaps venture too far up high. Or Nareth Audio, Guitar Odyssey, both fantastic libraries. And this one as well does the same thing. Like, go too much high up, it breaks certainly the dark ambient immersion. But I think that's enough of a segue. Let's do, what did we do? Shake the Soul. Yeah, these are very textural. I do find this to be quite accurate. Let's do 3 or 4 lights, not lines. Beautiful. I mean, that's the start of a composition there. Uncontacted. So we're in some kind of a space jungle in that one. Let's do one more here, one more from this folder. Let's do Without Form. I'm pulled to all of these Lovecraftian ones for some odd reason. This kind of stuff, it has like a very identifiable pitch, so you can actually do harmony with it. And this is exactly the kind of stuff I talked about earlier, which is, you know, spending time in the boundary zones between identifiable pitch and not, and also having rich textures which evoke a sense of harmony on their own, just the way the harmonics are you know, going in and out. You're like in this sort of a different, you know, a space between worlds to me. So I just love this. But let's move to the last folder, which is tones. So let's see what these are about. This one is called After Image. Push the level a bit more here. This seems pretty cool. Clippy-dee-doo here gets exponentially louder as you stack these. Oh, that's interesting. That was the sustain pedal, which loops something else there. That's really interesting. super cool sound. Like, obviously very, very simple at its core. This is kind of what I touched on a number of libraries. The latest one coming to mind is the Audio Ollie scoring synths, where you have very simple source sounds, source waveforms, from fantastic synthesizers, but basic waveforms synthesized well, with good appropriate detail and from great instruments. Take that and then do simple things with it. This kind of takes that same concept. It takes that. I don't know. I mean, it says the sample here is throat growl. I don't know what's wrong with my pronunciation lately. But that's the source sample, and then it creates this very simple kind of sine wavy sound. But then we have these layers of effects and textures and processing. Creates a very nice, interesting balance. You have this. It sounds almost like like a church organ there in the background, kind of quietly, very gently. But then you have these textures popping in and out. It creates a beautiful contrast, beautiful textures, beautiful dynamics there. It's just this is very, very interesting stuff. And again, stellar sound design on top of that that simplicity. Let's do Broken Lens. Not great playing from my part in terms of how to voice that, but yeah, it kind of follows the same path. I really like the inclusion of this. It remains to be seen how this kind of connects with the articulations there, but this gives you like, hey, you have pitch for sure, very simple, and then you have a lot of these beautiful textures and effects on top of those. So I suspect this will be super useful for someone like myself. To me, that's fantastic stuff. It definitely on the end of more demanding, perhaps, from the listener's ear, but super interesting stuff. Like, again, through these harmonics, these textures, it's kind of floating. You do have that center pitch, but it's kind of going in and out of it beautifully, like almost shifting into another dimension there, and then rolling itself back over into where it actually is. super cool. I'm definitely going to write something with that, because it's also about exploration. Like, I'm going to play a note and listen to what it's doing. And once I understand that, I can say, okay, cool. Now, if I have a sense of that pitch here and this and that, if I combine it to this one, I can actually explore this and that harmony. And this actually leads you down to a very different path of writing, because you can't exactly, although it does have the pitch in the note that you're playing, at least at times, momentarily, you still have to think about where else it's going. So you kind of, even though you're working with a keyboard, possibly, you start to look at it differently. You just start to listen to what's happening, and then just doing things based on where you want to go and what's happening. You kind of, the keyboard becomes, it's not an absolute fixed thing anymore. It's just a tool to access this kind of stuff. This is super, super cool to someone like myself. Let's do cruciform. That sounds very interesting. Let's pull back with the limiter. Seems like a pretty resonant sound. Clipping, limiter clipping, not the library. I mean, Jim Guthrie would probably like this sound. Beautiful. That's so soft, puffy, super playable. Feels super nice to work with. Just oh yeah, we have some mod wheel action here, so let's check that out. Don't know what it's doing. Presumably something would happen somewhere by changing that, but I can't hear anything. Let's do Distant Friends. I want to know what that sounds like. I have many. Okay, so that has some very apparent harmonics there, making it quite hard to play. Let's do Interstate. Again, beautiful. That kind of distortion is very consciously done in the sense of how it just works with the harmonics there. It just melds very, very nicely there. Let's do Masks Fall. very cinematic. Probably would jump in there to make the focal point note sort of go a bit more in and out. But, you know, simple enough. Let's do Morning Ritual. Love this because it gives you a completely different approach to how you compose music, or it can give you. I mean, it lets you work pretty much in the way you want. But here, for example, it's cycling through this sample that we see here, and certain things are happening at certain times, but we can also control when it's going to start cycling through that sample, which again is a completely different way of thinking about writing. Knowing what it's doing, but then, you know, just shifting the starting point of when it begins to do whatever it is doing. So very, very cool. Anything that just breaks the typical mold and patterns of how we write and how we can think about harmony and tonal stuff is just super interesting to me and very refreshing and exciting. Yeah, we definitely need that as composers, more than we probably realize. Let's do Something Gives. Super interesting textures again. The top end can get a bit bright, but that's just a part of the game. Again, there it was actually not harsh at all, but just to kind of explore the general concept of it, that, you know, if you want it to stay in this kind of darker cinematic world, best to stick around here, I'd say. But cool. Let's do one more. And this is going to be Thread Work. Okay, so yeah, the sustain pedal does definitely do something here, so you've got to be careful, because it does sort of flood something here. So it causes the volume to increase, and then we get that limiter clipping. But clipping. Yeah, this is one of the, I mean, we're dealing with samples, we're dealing with all of this processing, so the more you add notes, you're obviously gonna pile up a lot more volume, so we do need to ride the limiter here quite a bit, but just something to keep in mind when you're working with this kind of a library, this kind of an approach. You know, notes do build up. Who knew? stunning. Just stunning. Again, so many things to say about this, but texture, beautiful sound, the puffiness, it's just so consciously done. The noises, the slight particles. And again, here, it's cycling through this sample, so you get these kind of different pitches popping in and out, and you're like, ooh, how do I want to harmonize that? What do I want to actually do with this to create, the harmony that I'm after? So, yeah, fantastic stuff. All right, moving into articulations. So we're going to go these in order. I mean, we have, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 different instruments. And within each instrument, we have a further massive, but yeah, a sizable folder, especially when you're considering these are articulations, which, usually libraries have like the typical articulations and only a selection of them. But pretty much, I mean, all the stuff here is kind of unique, at least based on past experiences with stuff like landforms, and simply looking at this they're not trying to do the usual stuff, but this is all specialized alternative technique stuff. So yeah, this is just seems like a treasure trove of stuff to go through. But again, I'm just going to pick based on initial interest and impression. Again, sorry, we can't do all of them because otherwise this demo would be 24 hours long. But let's start with Alto Saxophone. And let's go with the first one. This is alternating dynamic. And again, we have the center key lit up here. Again, not sure what that is. It could have something to do with how the loop system is centered, or this could basically tell us where the source original sample is. But let's listen to this. Okay, so very cool. Again, in the center here, you can see the waveform, so you can see what it's doing. I love that because it so rapidly gives you an idea of what you're working with. And also, as you are writing things, you can respond to that feedback and estimate things. And yeah, it's just really cool. So again, what this reminds me of a bit, and I haven't even tested this yet, but in libraries like Heaviosity's Vocalese 3, you have these recorded vocal phrases. And once you start playing with it, you start thinking about things differently, because you're not just going to play this on its own, and that's just you're gonna drop that into a song. I mean, you can do that and fine, but I'm immediately thinking like, okay, how can I patternize this? How can I combine it with other things? How can I play with it just on its own? And then in addition, we have this whole engine that can do just bonker stuff, period. But yeah, this is again very exciting to me, because you just start thinking differently about composition. But let me combine this with some other notes and see how this behaves. So you can obviously hear as I'm changing in pitch. As I go up, it goes faster. As I play low, it goes slower, because it's pitching down the original sample, which seems to be here at C sharp. So again, this is super cool. Here we have quantize, which has off position and time. So let's try time. So that doesn't change. Yeah, that's really cool. And with the lines, we can see when the notes are being triggered, so we get a tremendous visual representation of where stuff is moving. Quantize doesn't here do what I expect it to do. So I don't know what it does here, but yeah, I mean, we would have to jump into the whole technical stuff of that, and Slate Ash probably does that better than than anyone else. Let's do Flutter Bursts 2. Very nice. Let's do Scattering Notes 1. Yeah, again, very, very cool textures and articulations here. Let's do Soft Tone 2. That's super cool. I mean, just looking at this and playing with this just makes you think about things very differently. It's yeah, super cool. And as you can hear, a lot of these are, you know, sustained notes, so you can play more typical stuff with this. It just depends on the articulation, but again, something like that is going to be super immersive and realistic and fun to work with, because you have a sustained note, but also the textures are changing, and we have a different, you know, you don't always just reset the ongoing sample. You can actually have these fluctuating, you know, time zones essentially with the sound. So it's going to be very, very cool. Let's do Sustain Pattern 4. That's a super cool sound. I like, very cool, because you don't even know that these instruments can do these things, and you don't recognize what that is. But again, going to a different pitch with that. I know it sounds pretty silly on its own, but just thinking about what more you can do with it by exploiting this engine and using effects, that's going to be super, super interesting. Let's do Sustain Pattern 1, just as a comparison. I mean, that's super cool. I mean, the fact that it works this well, just raw as it is fantastic. But you hear, just ideas are flooding my brain of what I want to do with that, and that's super cool. Yeah, fantastically played. Ooh, Baritone Saxophone. Let's do, I want to hear what Bounce Sucks sounds like. Yeah, this is bonkers good. This is just so inspiring. It's and I haven't even touched any of the crazy stuff yet. I mean, it's I love how it's tremendous at every layer of this. You know, we have no effects. We're not playing with the modulation. We're not doing anything with this, but it's already just bonkers inspiring. And that's a good sign when you have seriously good things happening at every single level. It's not just, you know, meh sampling with decent modulation with great effects, but it's great sampling with a great engine, great concept, and then just, you know, piling good on top of good. So that's very, very nice. Let's do harmonic motions. That's super cool. And again, like, you're dealing with fantastic players here who know their instrument in ways that you as a composer know nothing about. So it's like, oh, you can do that with your instrument, and I can access that and play with it here. So this is also, you know, not just a great sample library, but like an education in these instruments and what they can do. This is very cool. And, you know, for sound design, this is bonkers good. Yeah, and again, we're not even using anything on top of that. Let's do key click pattern 4. And again, just stuff that only a great instrumentalist would know about their instrument. Obviously, I as a composer can just like, hey, can you do this weird thing? Like, I'm imagining this. How would you do it with your instrument? But it's not. It's a very different thing for someone who's just played with their instrument in any way imaginable. They know those kind of things very differently. Motor flutter 2. Oh, that's growly. Yeah, very, very cool. I gotta hear what skronk sounds like. Sounds like a horny elk in the mating season. Soft harmonics 4. What's really fantastic about these libraries is that they they have these alternative articulations, and then they just, these ones that have a recognizable pitch, they remain super playable. Same thing in landforms. Like you'd think, all right, we have these alternative articulations, but they're probably not, programmed, scripted, done in a way that's super, flexible and playable. But and I don't get the feel out of this that it's like super sophisticated in that manner. Like it seems pretty simple, but sounds to me like the brilliance is in how they are sampled and what they've sampled. Like these sounds just lend themselves really well to melding with one another and combining with one another. So it's so much more versatile than what you would think. Like these are super playable. Obviously, with a bit of further tweaking, with a good reverb, they just come together even better. But that's one of the key points about these libraries that I do want to highlight, because they do remain super playable and realistic sounding, even though you would expect them to be like a one-trick pony. Obviously, it does depend on the sound quite a bit, but continuously, I'm really pleased that I can actually play stuff with this just like that out of the box. Let's do one more. Let's do Unstable Rasp 2. Yeah, it's just like layers upon layers of good stuff, because you get that great articulation sampling, but then you get to explore the world of the sound from changed pitch points. And I must say, the way this does pitch things sounds very, very natural. I don't know if that's just the standard what Kontakt can do in that engine. I don't know how much they've tweaked that, but it just sounds very natural, very smooth. It doesn't sound like, oh, now we're dealing with this kind of crappy digital pitching, although I'm sure it is digital, but it sounds quite natural and effortless. Let's do, okay, so we're moving into cello. This one's called Bounce Decay 2. Let's pull back the limiter. Again, this is as the notes do stack, gets louder. Very cool stuff, and not even really thinking about a cello, thinking about just the sound of it. Very unique and interesting. Let's do Bow Bounce 4. Is fantastically recorded. You have a beautiful amount of bottom end on those bow hits. Gives you that kind of boomy, very present sound. Fantastic. And again, how the textures meld together as you move in pitch. Super nice. Let's do Bow Creek. Yeah, super useful for sound designy stuff. I mean, this is very rich in diversity. Let's do a circular bow. Cool. I do want to hear circular grind as well. It's super useful that it shows the original location of the sample. Makes it very fast to go where you want to go. Very cool. Again, not even thinking about a cello here, just thinking about making music, reacting to what I'm hearing. Super cool. Bridge rhythm. I could make an action track based on that alone. Let's do harmonic ghosts. All right. Let's do murmuration. Yeah, fantastic. Again, adjusting the release there to increase realism and also work a bit with the reverb. But yeah, and also volume probably, but very, very cool. Let's do serrated motion. How freaking cool is that as a texture, as a sound? Just stunning. Let's do soft fragments. Again, just an entirely different realm that you're working with. new sounds. This is so refreshing to have access to this. And this is the kind of stuff I'm into as a composer. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love my traditional legatos and, you know, spiccatos and marcatos and all of the, like, all the usual articulations for sure, but a lot of the time you also want something more. So yeah, this is very cool. Let's move into clarinet, do air pulses. Yeah, I mean, these are just sounds you never hear. Let's do breath and flutter. 3. Again, same thing, an entirely new world of texture and stuff. Let's do chaotic tremble. Very cool. Feedback motion. At this point, I would just be repeating myself. And I still do that enough. So, soft harmonic. One more from here. Well, actually, let's move on to contrabass. Excuse me, contrabass. Let's do ghostly melody. This is so well recorded. The textures are super cool. Let's do pluck phrase. And again, something like that for me would be very inspirational to start, you know, do something new. Plucked 3. Gives me some old school sampling vibes. Let us do Sliding Ghost. We're gonna do all the ghosts. Yeah, that's gonna be crazy good for soundscapey stuff. Cool. Let's move to Contrabass Clarinet. Air note 2. Again, for sound design, this is bonkers good stuff. Key click rhythm 1. Super cool. Again, the diversity of this is pretty mind-boggling. Just how much stuff you get, just how inspiring this can be. Overtone drive 4. Beautiful. Obviously the drive there changes the the whole thing, but that's just so playable. Let's do overtone movement and sustain as well. Okay, that gets very spoopy very fast. Well, it is overtoned, so I shouldn't be surprised there. Let's do steam breath. I mean, that just sounds like fantastic noise sampling from a radio, but apparently a contrabass will also do it. All right, moving into the flute folder, let's do air rattle. Another fantastic texture. Let's do, there's so many interesting ones. Let's do difference ascent. Very inspiring. Let's do flutter tone 4. Bit of limiter clipping there, but okay. Key pass by. Again, super cool percussive thing. I mean, those are just fantastic when you're building a bunch of soundscapey stuff. Overtone slow-mo. Yeah, just create very unique and different stuff with that. Pedal tone 2. Again, these are super cool for normal, typical stuff. I mean, they work so well because they're sampled in such a brilliant way, and the textures change, the expression changes. Clipping, let's pull back. Nice. Let's do sung dual tone 1. Again, very, very cool. Sounds like a synth, but you get this rich organic texture there. Let's do tickling air. Yeah, you can do cool stuff with that as well. Yep. Very nice. Let's move on to the harp. So this is going to be interesting. Alias bow. Yeah, I mean, never heard a harp like that. So super nice. Let's do bolt rattle. Okay. Let's do bow cycle 1. Just love how they are interesting. Again, this is like multi-level fantasticness, because you have the fantastic sampling that's in its own right very inspiring, but then you spread that to the pitched domain and it just opens up entirely differently. So we did bow cycle. Let's do bow sustain. Let's go with 4 once again. Guess what my favorite number is. Super fantastic. Just writing stuff that hasn't been done a lot. So very, very cool. Let's do note interference. Pull back the limiter a bit. I mean, this again, super cool, very interesting. Immediately just hearing what it's doing, you're like, ooh, I want to try this, and it just melds together very nicely. I mean, just crazy good. And also you, like, for me, I would love to throw that into granular effects processor, which even further is going to take that and texturize it. And that's immensely crazy good. Pedal grind. Well, I bet this is going to sound pretty sweet down here. I love these libraries because they're just like, they have these brilliant starting points, but then they just, you know, expand out into the galaxy. It's like they're like these micro galaxies in themselves. It's just endless creativity. And again, I'm just playing with the samples. I'm not even doing anything with the engine beyond the very basic. So, yeah. Pluck 3. Limiter clipping. I love this. This is kind of like, you know, very brilliantly sampled, but there's obviously no velocity here. But it kind of lands in this sort of space in between, like I don't know, old school sampling, but then kind of synthesis. I don't know. Super playable, soft, plucky, very cool. I love that it has a whole host of different things. It's not just trying to do one thing. So that's really cool. It's just like layers upon layers. I mean, I kind of like, this makes me want to cover more of the modulation and the effects, etc., because it just kind of makes you realize just how fantastically designed these are. Like at every layer you have brilliance, and then you just kind of, you can, once you know what it's doing and you know how to play with it, you just can go to town and create so many things. But let's do thin bow sweep. Yeah, fantastic sound once again. Let's move on to the percussion. Akayo Flutter 1. Again, super interesting, very inspiring. Let's do Akayo Pattern 3. love everything about that. Again, it's just something, you have this recorded pattern, and then you play it at different pitches and starting points, and it becomes such a like a back and forth thing. It's not just a one-way street. Super cool. Yeah, it's just like you're reacting to this and creating music with it. Cymbal stick pattern. This will be interesting. First of all, beautiful cymbal, beautifully sampled. Again, this just lights up my brain. You know, go do something weird and strange with that, and slice it up, loop it up. Yeah, very cool stuff. Cymbal bow 3. Yeah, you can make really cool effects with that one. Gong flutter 1. Yeah, very immersive. Instantly give you like a place in space and time. Kit pattern 1. Okay, that's cool as well. Let's see what we can do with that. Okay, that would require some additional engine use for me to do what I'm hearing in my head. Let's do mallet cluster 2. Yeah, super easy to make. Very interesting spoopy things. Sounds like a vibraphone or something like that. I mean, we have to hear metal meow. I mean, that's so cool pitched. This must be some of the whale sounds we heard earlier. Yeah. Very nice. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much stuff in here. We're just like scraping the surface, but we hit gold all the time. Rod moan. I should actually know exactly what this sounds like. I mean, I know that's going to sound insane here in the low end. that's a vibe for sure. Okay, done with the rod moaning. Let's do rod motion. I also know what that looks like. Really cool. Super interesting texture. And again, the harmonics there, evoking that harmony. You can play with that. Let's do shaker phrase. Shaker phrase? I barely know her. Very interesting. Let's do snare brushes. Really interested in hearing this in the low end. Yeah, that's a fantastic ambience, like soundscape builder. If you want to keep something very ambient but give a sense of tension and movement. Snare fumble roll. Again, very cool on its own in the low end. Again, makes it sound like a frame drum there, and these sounds translate very nicely across octaves. They sort of become something else. They don't lose. I don't know. They just seem super effective in terms of how they pop out of the sound field. That's very cool. Let's do tom pattern. Really don't know how that quantize thing works, but I'm sure it's fantastic once you know how it works. Let's do vibe bow, sustain 2. Nice. Always space for stuff like that. Moving into trombone. Breaking note. Again, for soundscape building, pretty fantastic. Ghost breaths. Cool. Kick drum. All those mouth noises, they're really cool. I mean, obviously makes you uncomfortable, but really nicely done. Muted resonance. Yeah, it's just so many weird things in here, and I absolutely love it. Because you never know when you're going to use it. Plate tone 3. Very interesting stuff. I love this, you know, when there's a simple, just one note sample, but textural changes, and yeah, it just creates a lot of cool stuff. Rattling tone. Extremely cool, fantastic for sound design once again. Soft rattling tone. Yep. Let's go into vowel tone 1. Instantly inspiring to me. Let's do Wavefold 4. Fantastic. I do wish, and this is, you know, hard to say without actually going through everything that's in here, but that we had some of those that kind of stayed in the don't get so, you know, aggressive, don't transform into that aggressive end. But I mean, if they're there, I'll see it later. It's tough to say now, but moving into trumpet. Let's do Hectic Swarm. pretty crazy stuff. Once again, in that noisy end of things. Interference. I knew that was going to happen. Let's go lower. I tried so hard not to laugh, but this stuff gets me. Okay, let's go as low as we can here. Yeah, I mean, that's, you have to have one hell of a diet to pull that off. Yeah, so, I mean, that's in there. If you wanna go for it. Mute interference 4. That's such an interesting texture, so rich and warm, and obviously you gotta stay away from the farting, but otherwise, open close cycle. Super cool. I have to do one thing. A little bit of limiter clipping there. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's very good. Let's do the wavefold in this one. Obviously, you gotta watch for the raspiness builds there. But going into tuba, let's do blob 3. We're barely under the halfway mark of the keyboard and it's already super beefy. Yeah. Brilliant. Let's do Bowed Bell 2. That's super cool to do that with a tuba. I just love when you take instruments and you really work at the extreme ends of their range. Perhaps not extreme, but you know, towards the extreme end, because you begin to get very different textures, because you obviously get the pitch of, let's say, another instrument that is typically used in that range, but you get a different texture, different tone. That's very cool. Flaps. Cool. So basically, I mean, all of these have something percussive in there as well. So you gotta work, or gotta find them from the folders. That's scary. Let's do Ghost Voice. That's very impressive, because that seems to be the original sample. Yeah, just bonkers stuff for sound design once again. Growl motion. Beautiful. Once again, seems like the original sample. That's an octave lower. Just fantastic textures. Sounds like a horrible monster. Loose burst. That sounds like what you get when you ate something that was not great. Could sound like that. Let's do sustain per. Pull back the limiter. Very cool. Sounds like a alternative world tribal war horn or something like that. Let's do tap pattern. Another very cool percussive approach. Let's move into violin. Let's do aliasing 1. Again, textures and stuff you just don't hear coming out of these instruments. Circular feather. Yeah, more fantastic textures. Difference tone. Gives you something, and again, we're just dealing with the sample thing in its simplest form, but sounds like a harmonium, but something synthetic, something very different. Let's do gliding 1. Again, super cool for sound design. Sounds like a seagull from space dying. Morning phrase. That's very, very cool. I wonder if so smear, room, hall, play. Let's do smear. Size all the way. That's cool. Feedback. Let's do something like 90. That's very nice. %. I just have to do this. Let's pull back the limiter all the, well, not all the way, but maybe lessen the feedback. Yeah, I mean, to me the sound was just begging to have a big reverb. Haven't tested the reverbs in here yet, but I mean that gives an idea of the smear. Has an interesting sound, I will say that. Let's do face, grind. Cool, another texture. Scrape harmonic. Nice scrape interference. Yeah, I love how the low end just consistently hits you really hard once you go there. Let's do sweep arp. Obviously, you have to be mindful of the intervals there, but very cool stuff. Tone clash. Cool. More challenging stuff. Winding screech 4. I mean, I just love how you can hear what's going to be good. Like you play the source sample and then you're like, "Ooh, yeah, let's do this." Obviously, you need some experience with pitch shifting, but I'd say if you have any, you're probably pretty well, accustomed to identifying when samples are gonna sound pretty sweet when in a different pitch. Cool. That covers all the articulations folders here. I mean, again, we just picked, I don't know, percent-wise, maybe, I mean, less than 10, certainly, maybe 5% from each folder, if even that. But there's just so many to go with. And again, we just played them out of the box without even tapping into the engine any further. So yeah, super comprehensive. This is just like a massive toolkit. Fantastic for sound design, fantastic for alternative articulations. I mean, this can work in any genre. It's just up to your creativity and your vision. And that's what's really fantastic about these libraries from Slate and Ash is that they're just that. They're like pure creative machines, and your creativity is truly the limit. Obviously, they're designed in specific ways. They're all different to one another, and you have to work within that framework. But within that framework, there's just a universe of creative exploration and creation. So Spectres doesn't seem to be an exception to that rule and that model. It certainly does the same thing in that sense, but it is a very unique beast of its own. And what I love about these is that they make a very specific engine, and it kind of forces you to think about audio and the sound and the music very differently. And that they're immensely versatile and open and creative, but they do have these design limitations, which makes you look at music differently. And every time that's the case, that's a super impressive achievement. All right, I think we're going to call it here. Not because we've covered everything that I'd want to cover or everything that there is to cover, but because this demo is already insanely long. But however, we we did achieve the primary thing that I set out to achieve with these demos, which is playing these things pretty blind, just out of the box and seeing how they behave and what they sound like and what's in there. I mean, we covered all of the articulations. I mean, we sampled all of the articulations, playing something from everything and also something from everything in the sound design department. But yeah, I hope that gives you an idea of what this sounds like, what its style is. Again, we didn't even delve into this whole, you know, sampling manipulation engine here and everything you can do with the modulation here and all the effects, etc. But hopefully we gave you an idea here of what this you know, sounds like and what the style of it is. Again, I was surprised in a sense that, at least to me, as I play the sound design sounds, they sound very, you know, dark, ambient-ish to me. Obviously, a part of that is your personal preference, and when you hear something you like, you pursue it in ways that are unique and specific to you. So I obviously understand that bias. But yeah, I mean, it was darker sounding than I expected. Personally, I love that. And you know, obviously you can also pull lighter tones out of it, you know, not, you know, make something else than dark ambient for sure. But I was very pleasantly surprised by that and happy to see that. So yeah, it does seem to lean towards that dark side for sure. But yeah, and in terms of the articulations, they were pretty much what I was expecting. The scope of it is, I'd say, vaster than I was anticipating, even knowing landforms and knowing the other installations as well. But this is super comprehensive. So no matter what you do, it just offers bonkers scope. But yeah, very much loving this. I understand just doing this session alone, which is already pretty long, but this is immensely vast. There's so much stuff in here that I genuinely think you can make music with this for years, or at least certainly write a lot of stuff until you know, exhaust your vision and idea of what you'd want to do with this. Obviously, assuming that this is your kind of thing in the first place. But yeah, just a brilliant creative playground, toolkit, source of inspiration. And also, like I said, this teaches you a lot about what these instruments can do. And yeah, this makes you think about music and writing it completely differently. It throws a curveball, and you just think about sound and music very, very differently. And every time that's the case, that's a high achievement in my book. So fantastic stuff. Let me know what you think if you have this back at your studio or at home. And again, like, there's so much here that I haven't even taught myself, haven't educated myself on. It's just so much that goes into these engines, and you can make the sounds as complex as you want. So yeah, let me know down in the comments your own experiences, and also let me know your thoughts on this video specifically. And thank you again to Slate Ash for sending this over. Much appreciated. Will be well, first of all, it was a pleasure, and secondly, we'll definitely be writing a ton of music with this. So fantastic stuff. That's it for this video. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Finished.